It's actually a really interesting question. I didn't know for a long time what it was I wanted to do. I always knew that I wanted to start a business. I just didn't know exactly what it was.
He came home one day and just said, "Oh, I've been out on this sort of field trip with my work group."
They took 6 or so of us out to the winery in Shelton and fed us lunch, and it happened to be during a crush, so we got to do some punch downs and things like that. And I'm thinking, I can do this.
And I had the best time ever, and I knew what I wanted to do. And I was like, "Oh yeah?" He said, "Yeah, I want to be a winemaker." And I was like, "Huh, you and everyone else right now, right?"
And she was all for it.
So a couple weeks later, he was at the table working on the computer, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm registering for school." And at the time, I had forgotten about the conversation, and he's like, "Oh, I'm registering for winemaking." And I was like, "Really? You're really gonna do it?" And he's like, "Oh yeah."
Started taking classes at South Seattle Community College the next quarter, and that's kind of where the idea took off from.
And the thing about Brian is, good news or bad, like when he gets an idea in his head, you just kind of hope you're on the train, because if not, it's going to run you over. He gets something in his mind, and he's probably the most driven person I've ever met.
When I had that epiphany moment, it actually, even to this day, outside of the day of my wedding, was the single coolest, greatest day. I'm so, it was that huge of a moment for me that, I finally knew what it was I wanted to do.
So we had bought this house, and I thought I was going to use my vast architectural experience, and we would remodel the house. And there were moments when we both really questioned that decision. And I remember very specifically, one day I was home alone in the house all day working, and I kept finding these things, like, oh, and then there's a giant hole behind that we didn't know that was happening, and then there was a fire back there, and then, just one thing after another, as it is when you remodel houses. And he said, Brian, this house is kind of like this wine. It's got good bones, it's got good structure, it just needs love. We're gonna make this happen. I don't know that, not everybody's could be cut out to work that closely with your spouse in a new business, and it was hard at a lot of times, but it's really, on some moments it's really nice to just sort of look around and see bits of Brian and I in every single piece here. It's all ours. So it's a good feeling, but it was hard. It was really hard.
But I'm in my office and I shut my door and I'm working and I have music.
We talk a lot about once Brian creates the wine, and once we come up with something that we're really happy with, we talk about what are the characteristics? What is it like? Does it have a really long finish? Is it balanced? Something like that we have a wine that's called cantilever, because in architecture the cantilever it's all about balance and length and finish, and so every wine has a name, and it's all very specific to the wine. The architectural element is very connected to the wine. Our foundation wines, so in terms of architecture, you think about the base of a building is the foundation, and it has to be strong, and it has to be really the strongest part of the building, otherwise nothing's going to stand on top of it. So we have our foundation wines, and those are really the wines that we feel like are our very, very best wines, with the best fruit, that we did the best job of making that year, and we build our reputation upon that.
It definitely is more of a hands-off approach, what we take to wine in general, and that's our goal, to make soft, approachable, fruit-friendly wines that are balanced with structure. And the way that we go about that is we don't do extended macerations. We buy seasoned barrels from well-known wineries in the area they buy them brand new. They've had wine in for 18 and 20 months. We put our wine in there for 18, 20 months. So you're going to get a little oak influence, a little bit of tannins from that, but it's really more about the fruit-forward nature. We buy the best fruit that we can get our hands on, and it doesn't matter how much we pay for it. And then we let that fruit show, and that's our goal. And we hope that we can continue to do that, because we definitely feel like it's important to us that you taste the fruit. And if it says Cab Franc on the bottle, I want you to taste Cab Franc. If it says Syrah, I want you to taste Syrah. So we want to have a varietal, those varietal characteristics and integrity of that show in the bottle.
You know, maybe it would be a really good business decision to sit around and look at what everyone else is doing and try to figure out their successes and how they did it. I don't know that either one of us are those kind of people. I mean, the most important thing to us is that we're really happy, and while we're doing it, we're really happy and growing and feeling good about it and each other and the product. And you know, I dig wine, so I'm gonna be happy forever. But I think our plan is to keep doing better and better every single year. We're learning, and we take every bit of learning out of every situation and try not to learn those things again if we can. Our plan is just to keep making good wine and try to make better wine, and you know, stay friends.